This new 180 hand cannon is the resurrected version of the OG Not Forgotten. Back in 2018, you got Not Forgotten by reaching max rank in comp, and it used to be a 180 hand cannon with the perk Magnificent Howl. The perk used to make Not Forgotten 3-tap any Guardian, and it also had a ton of range. Those were the two big reasons why this weapon was so dominant. The same two things are also true about our newest 180 hand cannon in Destiny 2 called Sightline Survey. It's the hand cannon from the Echo's weapon set, meaning you can get it through seasonal activities and Echo engrams used at failsafe in the helm. In this video, I'm going to give you an in-depth breakdown of the numbers to show you why this fully crafted Sightline Survey can solely bring back the 180 hand cannon meta to the Crucible, just like Not Forgotten did 6 years ago. My name is Amps, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss any more content from me. You can also check out my streams over on Twitch. The link will be in the description. We'd love to see you in chat. With that out of the way, let's dive in. First, let's talk about range. Sightline Survey comes in at a max range of 37.5 meters while perks are procced. Let's compare that to some other hand cannons. Firstly, of course, we have to do Not Forgotten, which maxes out at 33.5 meters. Other 180 hand cannons we can compare it to are Word of Crota, which maxes out at 32.2 meters, and Optative from last season, which maxes at 34 meters. Even if we compare it to a 140 hand cannon, let's say the new Better Devils, for example, that maxes out at 37.5 meters, which is the same as Sightline Survey. Being able to challenge the likes of Better Devil and even Rose at range with a 180 is kinda crazy. Even the max range Igneous Hammer Adept will only outrange you by 3 meters, so clearly range is a huge upside for this weapon. Now, let's look at the damage values. At base, 180 hand cannons need to 4-tap in order to kill. 2 headshots, 2 body shots, which is exactly a 1 second time to kill. Not great. But when you can make them 3-tap, you get that all the way down to a 0.67 second time to kill, which is very good. Well, what makes Sightline Survey so good is the fact that it has so many different methods of being able to 3-tap. And by the end of this, we will have a full build that makes it almost never not 3-tap. First, Sightline Survey features one of the current best perks in PvP on it, and that is Precision Instrument. The enhanced version of this perk will give you a 5% precision damage bonus every time you land a hit with the weapon. It doesn't have to be a crit to proc Precision Instrument. Any hit will give you a stack, and it maxes out at 6 stacks. I could go over the individual damage values for every stack, but to put it simply, when you have enhanced Precision Instrument, you can 3-tap enemies that are either at or below 7 resilience, period. Any kills after that while you still have those stacks will be basically guaranteed 3-taps. Next, we have the Radiant buff, which by itself is a 10% weapon damage buff. Radiant alone will make Sightline Survey 3-tap at all resilience levels, even without Precision Instrument at all. Luckily for us, this season, or episode I should say, Radiant is super easy to get very often. On the Prismatic and Solar subclasses, we also have Fragments that makes us Radiant when we get powered melee hits. On the Echo's artifact, we have the Radiant Orbs mod, which makes us Radiant whenever we pick up an orb. You can also use that mod with the Reaper mod on your class item and be generating an orb almost every kill. Orbs in general are pretty abundant nowadays in the Crucible, so you can take advantage of Radiant Orbs often. I guess if you wanted to, you could even use Acrobat Dodge if you're a hunter and go really overkill with the Radiant uptime. But that's not where the damage buffs stop, because there's another way to get guaranteed 3-taps. This one is specific to hunters, because it's the exotic helmet Mask of Bacchus. A lot of people seem to forget this, but whenever you use a Bacchus dodge, it gives all of your arc and or stasis weapons a ×4 weapon damage boost for 10 seconds. This in PvP is roughly a 6% damage increase for those weapons, which might not sound like a big deal, but guess what? That 6% damage bonus by itself also lets you 3-tap any Guardian at any resilience level with Sightline Survey. It is, after all, an arc hand cannon, so you can pair it with a stasis weapon like Conditional Finality in the kinetic slot and get weapon damage bonuses for both whenever you utilize your Bacchus dodge. So as I've explained, all of those buffs by themselves will let you 3-tap with Sightline Survey. But this is where I think Sightline Survey could potentially pass the 2018 OG version of Not Forgotten, because when you combine buffs, you'll no longer have to hit all 3 headshots to kill. Yeah, you'll be able to 2 headshot 1 body shot with this 180 hand cannon. Let me show you. Let's just start with the Mask of Bacchus buff combined with Radiant. If you have both of the buffs at the same time, you'll get a 16.6 80.6% damage buff. This makes headshots do 81.87 damage and body shots do 47.18 damage. With these damage values, you'll be able to 2 headshot, 1 body shot Guardians at or below 5 resilience. But let's add Precision Instrument on top of that. Precision Instrument times 1 will bump that resilience gate up to tier 8. So now you'll be able to 2 headshot, 1 body shot anyone at tier 8 or below. When you hit Precision Instrument times 2, that's where the resilient gate will go all the way up to tier 10. And boom, now you can 2 head, 1 body, all resilience levels. If you're able to go crazy and get all the way up to times 6 Precision Instrument with Bacchus and Radiant, your headshots will deal an absurd 106.43 damage, which almost lets you 2-tap. That's just hilarious to me, so I had to mention it. So now that we've done a detailed dive on the numbers, let's talk about what perks you'll want to put on Sightline Survey, and the build I recommend using with it to get the most out of the weapon. Since it's a 180 hand cannon, the range stat will be our top priority for the perk choices. However, we also want to build into stability where we can. With that in mind, for the barrel, the best option is small bore because it gives you +7 stability and +7 range. For the magazine, we're of course going to choose accurized rounds for the +10 range boost. Now, the third column is where it gets to be a bit of personal preference because there are 2 different options here that are both top tier. You can go with Keep Away, which the enhanced version while active will give you 10 range, 35 reload speed, and decrease the accuracy cone by roughly 7%, aka make the weapon more accurate. On the other hand, you could opt for Enhanced Fragile Focus, which gives you 20 range whenever you have 100 or more health, but will completely deactivate if you go below 100 health. One option gives you double the range but has lower uptime, and one of them has way higher uptime but half the range. What I can tell you is the range difference between Fragile Focus and Keep Away is roughly 1.1 meters, so with that knowledge, choose which one you prefer. For the fourth column, of course, choose Precision Instrument. It does have a lot of other good perks in this column like Opening Shot, Kill Clip, and Eye of the Storm, but I think the damage buffs from Precision Instrument are just way too good to pass up. It also features the new origin trait Radiolaria Transposer, which is basically like a baby version of Firefly because rapid kills will make your enemies explode and turn them into Vex Milk. The radius on this explosion is alright and definitely does damage, but I mean, what isn't more satisfying than turning that SMG crouch spamming Titan with Cheeto dust all over his fingers into a giant pool of Vex Milk? It's just great. The build you want to ideally run with this weapon to take the most advantage of it is firstly, of course, running Mask of Bacchus. If you're not a hunter, don't worry, the weapon is still very strong without this, but it's just nice to have an extra method of getting a weapon damage bonus. You'll then want to run the Reaper mod on your class item so that every time you get a kill after dodging, you'll spawn an orb. You then run Radiant Orbs on the artifact to get Radiant when you pick them up, Better Already and Recuperation on your boots to heal from orbs, Powerful Attraction on your class item to pick up nearby orbs when you utilize your class ability. If you're on a Prismatic subclass, consider running Facet of Dawn as another method of becoming Radiant. Also, make sure that if you're running Bacchus, you also have the Silence and Squall super on, otherwise Bacchus will not work. And don't use the Bacchus and Radiant dodge at the same time because for whatever reason, the backflip animation cancels Bacchus currently. Hopefully that's just a bug and it gets fixed in a future update. Combine Bacchus with the aspect Winter Shroud and the Dust Field grenades because Winter Shroud, whenever you slow targets, you recharge your class ability faster, making the gameplay loop of Radiant Orbs and Bacchus damage buff happen quicker. So, as you can see by the numbers, Sightline Survey is truly a reborn version of the OG Not Forgotten from 2018. It hits at crazy ranges, competes with hand cannons outside of its archetype, and it can 3-tap almost any player all the time. It could solely make 180s actually viable again in the Crucible for the first time in 6 years. I can't remember the last time I actually had this much fun with a gun or build because it's so funny to hear and see players' reactions to getting vaporized by a 180 hand cannon. I highly recommend crafting Sightline Survey this season and trying it out because 180s are officially back on the menu. Thank you so much for watching this breakdown. If you enjoyed it, a like would help out a lot, and subscribe to my channel to not miss any more content just like this from me in the future. Have a good day, and I hope to see you all next time.